Good morning. It seems like now that everything is moving online these days, especially our education system. I know that a lot of people might be squabble about the disadvantage of this phenomena, but today we want to discuss about why distant learning should replace traditional school. Distant training is any type of learning where the instructor is absent or not in a similar spot as the student. This encompasses educational recording CDs, projects, or intelligence constant talk through webcam. As the motivation behind this education is to convey through innovation, it is revolutionary in that it allows many freedom and advantages that were never imaginable in the traditional classroom. Because distant education allows those with incapacities to get education on the off chance that they can go to a physical class. It is likewise allowing those in rural areas to go to school and to have enhanced access to post-secondary education and training opportunities. In addition, many proponents of distant learning argue that it is an even better method of learning than is a physical classroom setting. The fact that you can pause lecture and rewind allow information to be more readily absorbed and permitted by students at their own pace. As the future of education is moving increasingly more towards shifting physical education into online, there is a lot of reasons such as learning whatever you desire. It is more agreeable in an assortment of ways. Besides, online courses regularly looks great on resumes. The pacing of learning is overseen by students, and the expense of virtual schooling is frequently lower than traditional education. Now, I'm going to pass to Nisha, where she's going to explain the first point of our topic.
Thank you, Nashwa. Next, I will be talking about the first point of our speech, which is distance learning makes education more accessible. Now, I know that this point is quite controversial, but before you make any judgments, please do hear us out first. So, as we all know, Malaysia boasts a free education system for primary and secondary school students. However, I believe that we all also know many children still do not have access to schooling facilities. And this may be caused by a myriad of reasons, including the lack of road infrastructures, the lack of public transportation, as well as the lack of schools in their area in general. Now, these areas may be in rural Sabah, Sarawak, as well as Semenanjung, Malaysia. Now, if the government were able to build schools in these areas, maybe it wouldn't be such a huge issue in education right now. But since that our government currently does not have the capability to do so, I believe the next best thing is to make online education accessible to kids of schooling ages in these areas. Now, I'm saying that it might be a more easier method to provide electricity as well as internet as well as gadgets to children living in these areas as compared to building a whole new infrastructure, creating electricity and internet facilities in that structure, as well as finding teachers that are number one, willing to teach, as well as eligible enough to teach in these environments. So, in comparison, I'm guessing that you already know which one is more doable. And for me, it's to make online education, which can also be known as distance education, accessible to children living in these areas as compared to creating more facilities which may be taking time. Following that, I will be talking about what some people would argue to be the greatest benefit of online learning, which is distance learning helps you to develop intrapersonal skills. To preface, intrapersonal skills are skills having to do with your self awareness as well as controlling your inner attitudes as well as processes. These skills include resourcefulness, resilience, self discipline, as well as time management. Now, do these skills sound familiar to you? Well, they sure are familiar to me and Nashwa because we have spent almost 2 years developing them through distance learning. Some might argue that it's counterproductive for our socializing skills, but many do not know that through intrapersonal skills, we can develop the ability to communicate our ideas clearly, and that translates into a more effective interpersonal socializing as well as communicating abilities when we finally interact with our uni classmates when we meet each other, of course. Now, not only that, the 21st century workplace has proven to be very interested in candidates that do have these developed intrapersonal skills. Pardon me, I always get them confused with interpersonal skills. But they are different things after all at the end, since one has to do with yourself and one has to do with other people. And by being in control of yourself, these workplaces believe that you will be able to bring more value to their company as you become more productive. Now, not only that, as we teach our students to be able to do so earlier during our schooling years, they will be able to meet this particular demand in the workplace. Over to you, Nash.
How distance learning could improve their virtual communication and collaboration. I do understand that a lot of students are afraid to speak up or communicate with others due to their shyness and lack of confidence. Figuring out how to communicate with others in a virtual environment can make you to be a more effective leader. You can develop a critical leadership skill using a particular information, making productive cycle, and making decision about communication practice. You may ask how distance learning could improve student communication, even though they are not seeing each other face to face. Well, as a student, you can rely on either email or video conferencing for a collaboration project. Students could easily do research and find resources with their partner throughout the internet as it is just on our fingertips. As students can easily find a lot of articles, websites, news and ebooks. Besides that, distant learning video conference such as Zoom or Google Meet are the most required in collaborating. FaceTiming classmates may not seem like a situation that require planning, but it is important for students so they could discuss their work and assignment together in real time so they could get on board easily. Students could do a little brainstorming and how are they going to present it, rather than traditional learning where students mostly can meet up only once in classroom to discuss. As an online contributor, your commitments make you a second group member. Your time, energy, and bits of knowledge matter and improve the quality of your group final product. Every discussion, question, and virtual gathering turns into a structure of block that builds up local or trust inside your group. Successful virtual joint effort is an ability that has become fundamental work environment.
This time though, I am here to end off our speech. Now, to recap, the benefits of distance learning include: number one, being more accessible as compared to traditional learning. Number two, being able to develop your intrapersonal skills. Number three, being able to improve your virtual communication and collaboration skill. Hence, we can safely conclude that distance learning should definitely replace traditional learning. And in fact, I have a quote from Queen Rania of Jordan that will help strengthen this particular statement of ours. So, Her Majesty once said, "In education, technology is a life changer, is a game changer, and it's important to kids in and out of school." With that, I hope you guys can finally understand the impact that distance learning can make for our children's future schooling and education system. With that, I end our speech. Thank you very much.